Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is Ijoma here, and in today's video we're going to be making this beautiful corset dress. It has a bra cup, not really a corset, but it has a bra cup and it has a fitted sleeve. For this tutorial that I made, the fabric that I used gave me a tough time. Working with this fabric was so difficult. I made a very wrong choice of fabric. I don't know if you know all these pleated stretchy fabric. It gave me a really tough time. Now the first thing that we are going to do is to get our bust points, our chest line, our under bust, and the hip line full length of this dress. For this dress, we're not going to use any half length, no joining at the waistline, no darts. If you want to use a dart, fine, but you don't really need a dart for this. And if you're working with a stretchy fabric, then there will be no need for a dart. After doing that, I'm going to mark the straight lines. I'm going to mark these lines that I dotted. I have my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, my hip line, and the full length of this dress. The dress is 36 inches long. It is a short dress. So from the chest line area, I will come in by 0.5 inch, and then I will mark this 0.5 inch line down to the under bust line. This line is really important. Go in by 0.5, then mark a straight line down to the under bust. I have not marked my waistline now. The next thing that we do is to measure our normal neckline, the 3x3 neckline. For now, let's measure the 3x3 neckline. After marking this neckline, I will measure my shoulder, then I will mark my armhole. For the neckline of this dress, it has a Queen Anne neckline. So you measure your shoulder. From there, you mark your armhole. After marking your armhole, you will mark your shoulder slant. So this corset or this dress is going to have a yoke, but it is a Queen Anne yoke, and the neckline is going to be 3 inches. Then the yoke can be as wide as you want it to be. The next thing that we do right now is to get my half length. This is my half length measurement, that is 17. Then I'll take my bust measurement, I'll take my waist measurement, and I'll take my hip measurement. So if you're taking these measurements, if you're using a stretchy fabric, you don't need to add any allowance. Instead, you should subtract, let's say, 1 inch from your normal measurement. So if you're working with a stretchy fabric, remember to mark your exact measurement, or you reduce your measurement by 1 inch. After doing that, I am going to connect the lines. I'm going to connect my bust line to my waistline, then to my hip line and the full length. After connecting these lines, I will go ahead and cut out the remaining parts of the pattern paper. Then after cutting out this pattern paper, I am going to place my bra cup on this paper. We are going to use our bra cup to get the remaining drafting that we need. So before we do that, we are going to cut out the back part. And for the back part, if you want, you can add a zipper allowance. That is if you want. So I will be adding a zipper allowance to this pattern for the people that want to add zipper allowance. Though when I was sewing it, I realized that the fabric that I'm using is super stretchy. I did not make use of the zipper allowance at the end of the day. So for the neck width, you are going to make it 3 inches. Then for the neck depth, you are free to determine the depth of the neckline for the back. After doing this, the next thing that we are going to do is to label our zipper allowance so that we'll know where we are going to fix the zipper. So mark your zipper allowance and label it. After doing this, I will go ahead and label all the lines that I marked at the front. I have not labeled it for now. So I'll label my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, my half length, the hip line, and the full line. This is the, sorry, I made a mistake, that is the full length. So after labeling these lines, you are going to place your bra cup on the under bust. You can see the under bust line. You are going to place the down part of your bra cup on that under bust line. Then make sure that the bra cup is touching the chest line area. Then you are going to mark the shape of this bra cup. This is the reason why I said you should go in by that half an inch, because that half an inch will serve as the distance between the two bra cup. So after doing that, you are going to trace your yoke. You know how wide you want your yoke to be. So after doing this, you are going to trace your yoke. So this part now is my yoke, and the rest of the chest line area, I am going to cut them out. So after marking my bra cup line, you can see the shape I have there. I'll go ahead and cut out this yoke area so that everything that we are doing will make sense to us. So let's cut off the yoke area first, and we will cut off the chest line area. After doing this, you are going to add half an inch round the space you made for your bra cup. The reason why we are doing this is that so when we are joining our bra cup back to the space, it will not be too wide. So you have to come in by half an inch round that space you made for the bra cup to avoid the fabric being too wide than the bra cup. After marking your half inch round, you are going to connect this half an inch. After connecting the half an inch, you are now free to cut out. You cut out this bra cup area, and you also cut out the yoke area. This is very important. I'll go ahead and cut off the yoke area for the Queen Anne neckline. Then I am going to cut out the space that I made for the bra cup, and that will be all for the pattern drafting. For the fabric that we are going to cover this bra cup with, we are going to do freehand cutting for the fabric that we are going to cover our bra cup with. And this is a ready to wear style. I will not be adding any lining to it. Every other thing on it will be overlocked or weaved. The next thing is to cut out our pieces on our fabric. So this is the fabric that I'm using. This fabric really stressed me. After folding, I am going to cut out the front pattern first of all. You know, we will cut our yoke differently, and we will cut the gown itself differently. Here is the paper. I'll go ahead and cut, but before I do that, remember we have a small opening at the center front of this fabric. I am going to mark the shape for the opening. It should be on this half an inch line. So just mark this shape for the opening. If you want to ignore the opening, you can ignore it, but I made a little space for it. Then after placing my paper, I will start cutting out my pieces. I'll cut for the front, then for the back, and I'll also cut out my yoke. fabric that I'm folding right now is for the sleeve. So if you want to flay part of your sleeve, like the wrist area, if you want it to be too wide, you can do that. So first of all, I'll mark my armhole area, and I folded this sleeve 4 times so that I can have the right and the left sleeve at once. I wanted to add a slit to this sleeve, but because of the fabric that I'm working with, I ignored the slit part. But if you want to slit your sleeve, you can as well slit it. So this is the small A-line sleeve that I will be using. The length of this sleeve is 28 inches. If you're making this, your sleeve should be longer than your normal sleeve measurement. The full length is 28 inches, and I am using the stretchy part. So I'm trying to make sure that I have the normal length that I want to have. So you can measure where you want your slits to stop at, and you notch. This is where I notched for the sleeve initially. Now we'll cut out the bra cup cover. This is the cover that I'll be using for my bra cup. I will fold it 4 times so that I will get 2 circles. Then from the center of that folding, I will start marking 6 inches round. Fold it like you are cutting a peplum. Then mark 6 inches round. It depends on the bust size you are working with. So this is the 6 inches. After cutting it, open the circle. Then take out 1.5 from each side of this circle. If you are making this dress, you should have a prior knowledge in corset making, especially making a corset with a bra cup. So these are the pieces that I'll be covering my bra cup with, and I did not cut out any lining for it. I will not use any lining for the bra cup pieces. So I'll go ahead and close the center. I'll go ahead and join the center. I am done joining the center, and these are my bra cup. I'll go ahead and cover the bra cup with the piece. This is the piece that I made for my bra cup. I'll go ahead and cover the bra cup. So you are free to place the line how you want it to be. If you want it to be horizontal or vertical, you are free to do that. I want my lines to be vertical on the bra cup. So you place this bra cup this way. The wrong side of the bra cup will be facing the right side of the fabric. Then you will run a stitch at the top and then cover. I am done running a stitch at the top of this bra cup. I will trim out the excess we have there. After trimming out the excess, you are going to flip this fabric over. So if you flip it over, you have covered the bra cup. You will now go ahead and run a stitch round the down part of the bra cup. After doing that, you are going to trim off the excess fabric you have there. I've run a stitch. I'll go ahead and trim off the excess fabric that I have there. So after trimming it out, this is what we have, and I'll go ahead and join this bra cup to the spaces that we made for them on the fabric. So now if you fix the bra cup, this is the shape you are going to have. So after fixing it, you will have that space at the center. So after fixing this bra cup, you can go ahead and fix your yoke. But for now, I'll leave this yoke. I will fix my bra cup first of all. So after fixing the bra cup, you can use a bias to hem the down part of the bra cup. Just go ahead and fix your bra cup. Start from the side and then sew towards the center. After doing this, you can use a bias tape to close the rough part of the bra cup, let's say the seam allowance of the bra cup, and you also use a bias tape to turn this opening you made at the center of those bra cup. Remember, we made an opening there, so we are going to use our bias tape to turn that. If you have your fabric, you can use your fabric to turn it. So I am done turning the center of that bra cup. The next thing that I'm going to do is to place a little fabric at the middle. If you check the picture very well, we have a little fabric at the middle. That little fabric is holding the two bra cups together. It will help hold them together so that when you wear it, it will not be pulling apart. So the next thing that we're going to do is to turn out this little fabric here. let me just turn it out. I ran a stitch at the side. After turning it out, I'll go ahead and fix it at the top of that opening. After fixing it, this is what you are going to have. Right now, we are done fixing that little fabric. The next thing that we are going to do is to fix our yoke. So if at this point, if you want to bring in your yoke, like if you want your yoke to come in a bit, you are free to do that. Just take your time, and after fixing it, you overlock all the rough edges. You're not turning anything with a lining. I turned the neckline of my yoke with a bias. After doing that, this is what we have. Now we are going to join the back part to the front. You can see I did not add any darts to this dress. For the back as well, I'm not adding any darts. You can see the two pieces for the back. You will turn your neckline with a bias if you want. You can turn it with a facing, but bias is the best for a stretchy fabric. After shaping and closing the zipper allowance, this is what you will have. I made this dress with the help of a paper. Then after doing that, you can now trim your armhole and fix your sleeve. Like I said, I wanted my sleeve to have a slit, but it didn't work out that way. So after fixing the sleeve and all that, this is what my outfit looks like. I hope it is beautiful. Do not forget to subscribe and click on notification bell so that when I upload a video next time, you'll be notified. See you all later. Bye.